When discussing potential winners of the 2026 World Cup, almost everyone immediately points to Argentina, France, Spain, Brazil, or England. Japan's name rarely appears among the favorites. Many people still view them as just another Asian team whose role is to occasionally cause an upset before eventually being eliminated in the knockout stages. But what if everyone is wrong? What if the 2026 World Cup becomes the tournament that changes football history forever? Japan arrives with the golden generation. Players competing in Europe's top leagues, a coach experienced in facing elite teams, and a mentality that has continued to grow since Qatar 2022. They are no longer a team whose primary goal is simply to survive the group stage. They arrive with a much bigger dream, becoming the first Asian nation to lift the World Cup trophy. So in today's video, we're going to talk about Japan, often labeled as a dark horse, and explore what could happen if the Samurai Blue become the champions of the 2026 World Cup. Japan has the best generation in its history. Looking at Japan's current squad, it is difficult to find another period in their football history when they were stronger than they are today. Almost every key player is based in Europe. There is Takefusa Kubo at Real Sociedad, Wataru Endo at Liverpool, Hiroki Ito at Bayern Munich, Takehiro Tomiyasu at Ajax, Daichi Kamada at Crystal Palace, and Zion Suzuki, who continues to develop rapidly in Italy. Unlike the Japanese teams of 2002 or 2010, which were still largely dominated by domestic-based players, the 2026 squad is built around footballers who compete against world-class opponents every week in Europe's top leagues. That experience means they no longer feel inferior when facing football's traditional giants. What makes this generation even more exciting is that most of the core players are entering the ideal stage of their careers. They are neither too young nor past their peak. Kubo is reaching his prime years as a modern playmaker and winger. Endo provides leadership and experience. Kamada brings creativity, while Zion Suzuki is emerging as one of the best goalkeepers in Asia. This combination of youth and experience makes Japan a remarkably balanced team. Many nations possess superstar players, but not all of them have the squad depth that Japan currently enjoys. If this golden generation can peak at the right moment, there is no reason why they cannot make a very deep run at the 2026 World Cup. They have already proven they can defeat the giants. The biggest weakness of most dark horses is their lack of experience against world football's elite teams. Japan does not have that problem. Over the past few years, they have repeatedly proven that they can compete with and even defeat the biggest nations in the game. At the 2022 World Cup, they beat both Germany and Spain. In the lead up to the 2026 World Cup, they have even recorded a historic victory over Brazil and earned positive results against several other strong opponents. This is no longer a Japan that arrives to learn. This is a Japan that arrives to win. Their progress has been recognized as one of the most significant developments in international football over the past few years. Those victories have given Japan something that cannot be bought with money: confidence. When facing Brazil, Japanese players no longer look nervous. Against European opponents, they are no longer content to sit back and defend for 90 minutes. They genuinely believe they have the quality to win. Throughout World Cup history, many of the biggest surprises have occurred because a team believed it could defeat anyone. Croatia reached the 2018 final because of that belief. Morocco reached the 2022 semifinals because of that belief. Japan now possesses the same mental foundation. If they can maintain that confidence throughout the tournament, they could become a nightmare for any opponent in the knockout stages. Japan's qualifying statistics are absolutely terrifying. Many people focus only on famous names when evaluating World Cup contenders. However, statistics often provide a more honest picture. Japan dominated the 2026 World Cup qualifying campaign from start to finish. They became one of the first nations to secure qualification and booked their ticket with several matches to spare. Throughout the process, they scored goals freely and rarely struggled against their Asian opponents. They did not just win matches, they dominated them. Their qualification campaign was one of the most convincing in world football. football. What makes Japan's numbers even more impressive is the balance between attack and defense. They do not rely on a single player to score goals. The threat can come from Kubo, Kamada, Ueda, Nakamura, Maeda, and several others. On the other end of the pitch, their defense remains highly organized and difficult to break down. In modern football, champions are usually teams with exactly this kind of balance. Spain in 2010, Germany in 2014, and Argentina in 2022 all shared contributions across the entire squad rather than depending on one individual. Japan is beginning to display similar characteristics. If those trends continue into the World Cup, they will possess a strong statistical foundation capable of challenging the traditional favorites. Japan's playing style is perfect for major tournaments. One of the main reasons Japan consistently causes problems for stronger opponents is their playing style. They do not need 70% possession to win matches. They do not rely on a single superstar either. Japan plays with exceptional organization, disciplined pressing, rapid transitions, and an incredible work ethic. Against stronger opponents, they are capable of defending patiently and waiting for the right opportunities. Against weaker teams, they can take control of the game and dictate the tempo. This kind of tactical flexibility is extremely valuable in a short tournament such as the World Cup. Just look at the teams that have produced some of the biggest surprises in World Cup history. Morocco in 2022 did not have the best player in the world, but they had a brilliant system. Croatia reached the 2018 final thanks to outstanding organization and teamwork. Japan shares many similarities with both of those teams. In fact, several football analysts and international football communities have already started placing Japan among the nations most capable of making a significant leap if they receive a favorable path in the knockout rounds. With the expanded 48-team World Cup format and a longer knockout phase, the opportunity for teams like Japan to create history is greater than ever before. Great history always begins with an underrated team. Every World Cup produces stories that nobody sees coming. In 2002, South Korea reached the semifinals. In 2018, Croatia advanced all the way to the final. In 2022, Morocco became the first African nation to reach the semifinals. Before those tournaments began, very few people considered them genuine contenders. Yet, they changed football history. Japan has the opportunity to become the next great story. Many international football observers already describe them as one of the most dangerous dark horses heading into the 2026 World Cup. If Japan were to become world champions, the impact would be extraordinary. For the first time in history, the World Cup trophy would leave Europe and South America for Asia. It would be a moment that completely reshapes the global football landscape. Asian academies would receive greater attention. Asian leagues would gain stronger legitimacy and international respect. Most importantly, Japan would be remembered as the nation that proved discipline, consistent player development, and long-term vision can overcome more than a century of football tradition. It sounds like a dream, but before Morocco reached the semi-finals or Croatia reached the final, those achievements also sounded like dreams. Do not underestimate Japan. They are no longer an Asian team that attends the World Cup simply to gain experience. They possess a golden generation. Players spread across Europe's elite clubs, an experienced coaching staff, outstanding statistics, and a mentality that continues to improve year after year. They have already proven they can defeat major nations. They have already shown that they can compete at the highest level. Will Japan actually win the 2026 World Cup? Nobody knows. But if one day the trophy is lifted by Japan's captain, the football world should not treat it as a miracle, because all the signs are already there. So what do you think? How far will Japan go at the 2026 World Cup? Will the Samurai Blue reach only the quarterfinals, break through to the semifinals like Morocco, or make history as the first Asian nation ever to become world champions? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more global football discussions, analysis, and World Cup content.